We're going to go around the league like we always do, and let's start with you. And I know you're looking at Arizona Cardinals. What's on your mind about Arizona?
And what I like about Arizona Cardinals, they finished number 29 as far as overall defense, and they're trying to make a change. They're trying to upgrade the leadership on their defensive side of the ball. So what do? They go after the linebacker coach for one of the best defenses and who's learning from arguably the best defensive coordinator in Keith Butler. Keith Butler is the linebacker coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's been under Dick LeBeau. He knows that system, and the Arizona Cardinals are hoping that he could take that system and that defensive mentality to Arizona. And I think that is a smart move by Arizona because they're already in a 3-4 system. I think they have some young talent in place with Dan Williams and the kid out of TCU who played in all 16 games and started 11 at the linebacker position. So I really think the personnel is there. They just need better leadership, and it's a smart decision by them to feel that they need to go get the linebacker coach from one of the best defenses in the NFL and bring him to be the defensive coordinator.
Cardinals coach Ken Whisenant, very familiar with the Steelers because that's where he came from as their offensive coordinator. Now, I got one about the Packers, and I want to ask what you think. When I did the follow-up press conference with Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, everybody wants to know, well, do you have what it takes to repeat? When you got a quarterback like Rodgers, you got receivers, you've got a decent running game that can improve. They got to make some improvements, but I would think when you got the quarterback playing as well as they do, they have 6 starters who were at least 30. But on the other hand, they had 6 starters who were on injured reserve, and they had 16 players on injured reserve. I think next year they're just as equipped as any team in the NFC. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right, and it all starts with a quarterback and coaching, and they have what you can now call an elite quarterback at that position and one of the best defensive coordinators. I've been talking about defensive coordinators a lot in this show, but Dom Capers did a phenomenal job as far as he led that defense, and with those pieces and that core in place, they definitely have a chance to repeat. And don't forget, on the defensive side of the ball, when you're talking about the players, they have one of the best linebackers in the game today, and Clay Matthews. It's only his 2nd year, so you know he has another 10 years of making plays than Charles Woodson. Though Charles Woodson's as old as I am, he must have drank some water from the fountain of youth because this guy has another 5-6 years in him, and he's playing great ball with all those pieces coming together. And I can't forget Tramon Williams, the guy that the Texans said bye-bye to, and he just became the MVP of the playoffs in my mind. All those young guys are in place. There's no reason why they shouldn't repeat.
What do you think about Clay Matthews in his 2nd year winning a Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think it's funny. When you talk about the Matthews family, you talk about one of the biggest names and best families in NFL next to the Peyton Mannings. Not the Peyton Mannings, but the Mannings. You think it's ironic that Clay Matthews in only his 2nd year brings the family a Super Bowl ring when his uncle and his father played a combined 38 years without getting that Super Bowl ring. I thought it was a great story, and you've met the family, I've met the family, they're a great family, and I was very happy to see that they finally got that ring.
And they're the patriarch, Clay, the original played, he never won an NFL championship. Kevin, Bruce's son, is on the Titans. He's yet to win a championship. We're going to have a hard time keeping up with these guys. Now, you weren't there, I was. I felt terrible for Jerry Jones because he's getting blasted for all the problems on Super Bowl Sunday with the stadium. Things like the scanners outside didn't work for a while. They had to bring out security to keep the fans from storming the stadium. They had 4 entrances closed down because of ice problems where they had injuries earlier in the week. They had a seating fiasco in which 850 seats were temporaries that had not been put in right according to the fire marshal. And of those 850, 400 did not get a seat. They watched on TV, sideline, put a few of them in the press box. They've guaranteed them free tickets for next year. They need to throw in travel and accommodations and a few drinks. And everybody wanted to blame it on Jerry. And I thought that was terrible because the NFL is control of the Super Bowl, not the home team's owner. So any problems caused were caused by the league and not because of Jerry Jones. Now, people say, is that going to cause a problem with them coming back? And the answer is no, because Indy, as you know, that's the biggest stadium outside FedEx Field, but they make more money. Their suites are incredible, and the owners don't care about ice on the roads during the week. They're not fighting it. So I think, yes, they'll go back. They're competing for I think Super Bowl number 50.
And you're absolutely right. When you talk about the fiasco that happened in Dallas leading up to the game, the proof is in the pudding. The fact that the NFL came out and made a statement apologizing to what went on, the NFL, not the Dallas Cowboys, they're the ones who said that they're going to give these fans that were displaced extra tickets for next year's Super Bowl. And I believe they were going to give them 3 times the amount of the face value of the ticket. That goes to show it was the NFL who made the mistake. They owned up to it, and it wasn't the Dallas Cowboys or Jerry Jones.
If you think about that 3 times the face value, if you paid $900, but not many do, they probably got them from a broker. No telling what they paid. So tripling is not going to help, but throwing in a lot of other free stuff just might. Now, has it crossed your mind this could be the last game we're going to see for a long time?
It has, but I just don't think that'll be the case. I mean, when you look at the ratings for the viewership for this Super Bowl, I believe it was the highest viewed event on television in the history of television. That alone should motivate the players and the owners to make sure that they come up with an agreement and there's no interruption in the regular season. And I emphasize regular season. I don't care if they're negotiating and missing mini camps. The fans don't care about missing mini camps. I don't care about training camp. If anything, most of the players are going to be happy if they miss training camp. But for the fans, they cannot miss one regular season game. If they do, it's going to take a few years to rebound from that. In today's economy, fans don't want to see an interruption in football because millionaires and billionaires can't come to an agreement.
You know, when you say it's the highest rated game in history, that does not take into account people watching in bars. It doesn't take into account, it takes into account households, but not the people in the households. Also doesn't take into account anybody under 18. So if you add all that together, imagine how many people actually watch the Super Bowl. And one thing I don't like, I'm tired of them talking about negotiating. Well, we're going to negotiate on Saturday. We've got 2 scheduled next week. Don't tell us. Go.
Just do it.
Negotiate. Don't come out till you got a deal done. I still believe, and I hope I'm wrong, that it's going to go into August or September. And I really worry about DeMaurice Smith, executive director of the NFLPA, the union. They say DeMaurice wants to go into politics. Well, if you've brought the NFL to its knees and got a lot of attention, that's going to help you maybe get some votes. I think it makes you look better if you don't have a problem with the league and you get it taken care of. That way, nobody can use it against you in politics. How would you like to run for office and say, Indy Kalu's the guy that cost you football? I don't think you're going to get any votes.
And if I ran against him, that's exactly what I would do. I would do that mudsling and say, hey, you remember that 2011-12 season when you missed football? It was because of this guy, Smith. So you're absolutely right. If he does want to go into politics, which I'm sure he does, living out in D.C. and taking this job, he's going to have to get something done, get it done quickly. Then he's going to need to hire a PR firm to make it look like he's the reason why we all get to view the #1 team sport in the world in football.
One of the coaches and the players I've admired since 1982 when he was drafted by the Oilers, Mike Munchak, just been named head coach of the Tennessee Titans. It's rumored for 2 weeks. They interviewed a lot of players. I'm really happy for him. Not many offensive line coaches make good head coaches. Not many make the jump without being a coordinator. You know, they better hope he's Andy Reid and not Mike Singletary. What do you think about Munchak being promoted?
Well, I'm going to answer your question with a question because when I read about it, I was happy for him. I love to see ex-players get to that head coaching position. But when you look at the great ex-players like a Mike Munchak, a guy who's in the Hall of Fame, a Mike Singletary, you know, those are the guys that I'm a little concerned with when it comes to coaching. Off the top of your head, can you remember a player that was Hall of Fame who made the transition to a head coach and had a successful tenure?
You caught me off guard, and I'll say no, and I know the viewers right now be thinking, oh, what about so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so? We're like, oh, my goodness, it's very, very rare that happens, but we wish him the best. Now, guess who I think his offensive line coach is going to be?
If I had to guess, Bruce Matthews?
Bruce Matthews. Bruce turned down the Cowboys to stay with the Texans. I guarantee you Munchak wants him. They're like brothers. They're best friends. They're teammates. They presented each other at the Hall of Fame in Canton. I know Munchak wants him. I'm assuming the Texans would not make Bruce stay, that if he really wants to go, they would let him go. That would be the class thing to do. Would you do that?
You know what? It would be a class thing to do, especially they're so very close. Bruce Matthews wants to be the head offensive line coach. If he has an opportunity to do it, they should give him the chance to do it. Plus, he's a big guy. He can mess up Coach Kubiak's office if he doesn't let him get out of there. What about the idea of putting together an all Hall of Fame coaching staff? You know, bringing Bruce Matthews to do the offensive line, Mike Singletary to coach the cornerbacks. Deion Sanders coach the cornerbacks. The list goes on and on.
Deion
I'm sure it
ain't
won't
in
watch.
yet. He just got voted. He's not been inducted.
Oh, he'll be in. He'll be in.
He got in, but we'll be inducting him in August in Canton, Ohio. Now,